Welcome to the Azure Cost Optimization Reporting Tool video deployment guide. Start by making sure that you are signed in as a user with the contributor role on a subscription that you wish to deploy the tool's resources to, and make sure that you have the user access administrator or owner role on the subscriptions or management groups that you wish to include in the assessment. Open up the Azure portal and open up Cloud Shell. You may need to configure Cloud Shell if this is your first time opening it. If not, it should load very quickly. Go to the GitHub repository and copy the command from step 2, which is going to clone the repository into your local file store. After a few seconds, that should be downloaded, and then navigate into the folder which has just been downloaded by typing cd space /Azure Cost Optimization Reporting Tool. You can hit tab to auto-complete this. Once you're inside the folder, type code space config.txt. That's going to open up a code editor. We need to start by putting in the subscription name that we wish to use to deploy the resources to. Make sure you don't have any spaces after the equal sign. Resource group name is going to be the resource group that's created. Put all of the tool's resources into. You can leave this as is if it conforms to your naming standard. The logic app name, again, you can leave as long as that conforms to your naming standard. That's the logic app that's going to send the email with the report. Automation account name, again, this is the name of the automation account that's going to be created to run the tool. You don't have to change this if it conforms to your naming standards, but the option is there to customize it if you wish. Set the deployment location to where you'd like the resources to be deployed to. Report frequency will determine how often you get reports. This can be set to monthly, which means you'll get a report each month, or it can be set to weekly, so you're going to get an updated report each week. And then finally, put in your mail recipients. These are the recipients of the report. So you can put in here multiple email addresses with a semicolon between them, or you could put in a distribution list, for example, to send this out to multiple individuals in one go. So save this with Control S. You can then close the editor with Control Q, or alternatively, you can do it graphically. And then we're going to run the deployment PowerShell script. To do that, type in /, deploy hyphen, then you can hit tab and it should auto-complete to the PowerShell script. No commands, we just run that as is, and it's going to begin the deployment of the tool. It's going to tell us our configuration here, so make sure that this is configured as you expect. When you're happy, type in Y and hit enter, and the deployment will begin. The deployment is generally quite fast. It should take a minute or two, but it's going to deploy all of the resources that we need to get the tool up and running. So this is creating the resource group, it's creating the logic app, it's creating the API connection that lets us send an email, it's creating the automation account's PowerShell runbooks, so all of the code is being uploaded as we speak from the local file store. If you see any errors that occur during the deployment, just double check the prerequisites, make sure that you've got the right level of access. If there's a policy in place that's preventing the deployment of the resources, change the names as appropriate. If you do need to start this again, you can simply delete the resource group because all of the resources are contained within a single resource group. So if the deployment has been successful, you'll reach the end of the script like this. We can hit any key to continue. There is a bit more that we need to do though. We can close Cloud Shell now. If we go to resource groups and hit refresh, we can now see that we have this new resource group created with the same name that we set in the configuration file. And inside of here, we can see all of the resources that have been deployed to support the tool. So we're going to navigate to the API connection called Office 365. We're going to go to Edit API Connection. This is where we're going to connect a mailbox that we want to use to send the report. Select Authorize. Once you've authenticated, you should get a message saying the authorization was successful. We're then going to hit Save to commit the change. To give the tool access to the information that it needs, a managed identity has been created on the automation account. However, we need to give that managed identity the right permissions to be able to get the data it needs to create the reports. So what we need to do is assign the reader role to the automation account's managed identity on any management groups or subscriptions that you wish to be assessed. Of course, you can assign this to a management group to assess multiple subscriptions in one go, or the tenant root group to include all subscriptions in the tenant. I'm going to navigate to my subscription and go to Access Control. I'm then going to go to Add Role Assignment. I'm going to select the reader role in the list and hit Next. I'm then going to select Managed Identity Radio button and then select Members. And then you should be able to drop down the Managed Identity drop down here. In my case, I've only got one managed identity in my tenant, which is why I've got one here, but your number may be different. If you select automation account, that's going to make it easier to find if you have multiple managed identities. And you're going to look for the name that you configured for the automation account. In my case, I left mine as default. If you did too, it should be AA-Azure Cost Optimization Reporting Tool. If you select that and click the Select button, we can then hit Next and then Review and Assign. We then need to verify that the tool has been successfully deployed and the managed identity has the permissions that it needs. So we're going to navigate to our newly created resource group. We're then going to go to the ACORT-main runbook, and we're going to select Start to kick off a manual run of our reporting tool. There are two schedules deployed as part of this tool. One is a weekly schedule and one is a monthly schedule, and the active schedule that is selected will be dependent on what you configured in the configuration file before we deployed the tool. In my case, I selected monthly, and to see when this is going to run by itself, we simply need to go to the main automation runbook. We then go to Schedules. We can see that the monthly schedule is linked, and we can see that the next run is on this date here and this time. You can track how the tool is doing by going to the runbook, going to Jobs, and we can see that this job has been completed. If you see failed or another status message, you can dive into this and take a look at the logs to see where the tool has gone wrong. Once the tool is run, if it has been successfully configured, we should receive an email in the inbox of the recipients that we configured. In this case, I can see that I've received the email from Alan. That's it for deployment. If you run into any issues or have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment and I'll do my best to support. Thank you.